My beloved brothers and sisters, there are people today who smile in public, laugh in gatherings, post online every single day, but deep inside they are lonely, completely lonely. And sometimes a person sits at night wondering, why does nobody check on me? Why do people leave me? Why do I have no real friends? The first thing we must understand is that not every loneliness is a curse. Sometimes Allah isolates you because He wants your attention. Sometimes the noise of people was distracting you from the remembrance of your Creator. There are moments in life when Allah removes certain people from around you so that you can find Him again. You know, Yusuf, Arabak teen, Arabak lam, Arabak yet, Arabak alaf, Arabak lam, Arabak seen, Arabak lam, Arabak seen, Arabak lam, Arabak laf, Arabak meme was alone in a well. Maryam, Arabak lam, Arabak lam, Arabak laf, Arabak lam, 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 Arabak meme was alone during one of the hardest moments of her life. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad spent time alone in the cave before revelation came to him. So being alone does not always mean you are abandoned. Sometimes it means Allah is preparing you. But at the same time, we also need honesty with ourselves. Sometimes the reason people distance themselves is because of our own character. If every conversation is negative, if every gathering contains gossip, if every disagreement becomes arrogance, if we constantly judge others, people become emotionally exhausted around us. A believer is gentle, easy to approach, easy to speak to. The Prophet Muhammad made people feel valued. Even a child felt important around him. Ask yourself honestly, do people feel peace when they sit with me? Or do they feel tension? Many people want loyal friends, but they themselves are not loyal. They want support, but they never support anyone else. They want to be understood, but they never listen. My brothers and sisters, friendship is not built on selfies, followers, or temporary entertainment. Real friendship is built on sincerity. A true friend reminds you about salah. A true friend protects your dignity when you are absent. A true friend does not compete with you out of jealousy. And let me tell you something powerful. Not everyone around you deserves access to your heart. Sometimes Allah removes fake people from your life as a mercy. Because some friendships look sweet at the beginning but destroy your akhirah in the end. There are friends who pull you toward haram, laziness, arrogance, addictions and disobedience. And then there are friends who remind you about Jah. NaH. Choose carefully. The Prophet compared good company to the seller of perfume. Even if he does not give you perfume, you will still leave with a beautiful fragrance. Good people improve you naturally. And if today you feel lonely, do not lose hope. Use this moment to improve yourself. Strengthen your relationship with Allah. Improve your character. Become kinder. Become more patient. Learn to give without expecting immediate return. Sometimes the reason you have no friends today is because Allah is making you into someone worthy of better friends tomorrow. And remember this carefully. The one who has Allah is never truly alone. People may leave, messages may stop, phones may become silent, but Allah never abandons the sincere believer. So walk toward Allah sincerely and the right people will come into your life at the right time. May Allah grant us righteous companionship, pure hearts, beautiful character and friends who help us reach Jannah. Ameen. When a person's relationship with Allah becomes weak, something begins to change inside the heart. The smile may still exist. The conversations may still continue. People may still see you every day. But deep down there's an emptiness that nothing around you seems to fill. Many people think loneliness only comes from being physically alone. That is not true. There are people surrounded by family, friends, classmates, co-workers and thousands of followers online, yet they still feel abandoned inside. Why? Because the soul was not created to survive without its connection to Allah. My brothers and sisters, the heart is like a lamp. The remembrance of Allah is its light. When that light becomes weak, darkness slowly enters. And when darkness enters the heart, relationships with people also begin to suffer. A person becomes easily irritated, constantly unhappy, impatient and emotionally distant. They expect from people what only Allah can provide. They search for peace in human beings, but human beings were never designed to carry the weight of your soul. This is why sometimes a person becomes too attached to people. They want constant attention, constant validation, constant reassurance. If someone delays replying, they become upset. If they are not invited somewhere, they feel worthless. If people do not praise them, they feel empty. Why does this happen? Because the heart became disconnected from the one who truly gives value. When your relationship with Allah is strong, you stop depending completely on people to make you feel complete. You still love people. You still appreciate companionship. but your peace no longer depends entirely on them. You understand that human beings are imperfect. They get busy. They make mistakes. They disappoint. But Allah never abandons you. There is something beautiful about a person who remembers Allah often. Their heart becomes softer. Their words become calmer. Their presence becomes comforting. People naturally feel peace around those who are connected to Allah sincerely. Why? Because the remembrance of Allah beautifies the character. Salah disciplines the soul. Dua humbles the heart. Istighfar cleans the inside of a person. Sometimes people complain, nobody likes me, but they have not sat alone with Allah for months. No sincere dua, no tears in tahajjud, no effort to fix the heart. We want people to love us while we are distant from the one who created love itself. Understand something carefully. The closer you are to Allah, the healthier your relationships become. Because when Allah is at the center of your life, you stop experiencing, seeking perfection from people. You become more forgiving, more patient, more grateful. You begin to overlook small mistakes. You stop carrying unnecessary hatred in your chest. And this is why some of the loneliest people are those who are spiritually empty. They may look successful from the outside, but internally they are exhausted. Every relationship becomes draining because they are trying to use people to heal wounds that only closeness to Allah can heal. My brothers and sisters, there are wounds no friend can cure. There are anxieties no conversation can remove. There are nights when no human being understands your pain. In those moments, only Allah can calm the heart. Allah says, verily in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Not temporary distraction, not entertainment, not social media. Real rest. And look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad. There were moments when people insulted him, abandoned him, mocked him and hurt him deeply. Yet he remained emotionally strong because his connection with Allah was unbreakable. When the world became difficult, he turned to prayer. When his heart became heavy, he made dua. He did not seek escape through people alone, he sought strength through Allah first. Today, many people run toward creation before they run toward the Creator. The moment sadness enters, they search for messages, attention or distractions, but they rarely raise their hands sincerely to Allah. Then they wonder why the emptiness remains. Sometimes Allah allows loneliness to enter your life not to destroy you, but to redirect you. Allah removes certain people so you can stop worshipping their attention. Allah allows silence around you so that you can finally hear your own soul again. Because some people become so attached to others that they forget Allah entirely. And perhaps this loneliness is not your punishment. Perhaps it is your invitation back to Him. Maybe Allah wants you to wake up for tahajjud instead of staying awake chasing people who do not care about you. Maybe Allah wants you to open the Quran instead of constantly opening conversations that leave your heart broken. Maybe Allah wants you to discover that the peace you are searching for was never in people to begin with. The most beautiful feeling in life is when your heart becomes attached to Allah. Because then even if people leave, you do not collapse. Even if friends, you still have hope. Even if the world becomes cold, your heart still feels warmth through Aman. This does not mean believers never feel lonely. Even strong believers feel sadness. Even righteous people desire companionship. But their loneliness does not destroy them because they know Allah is near. And wallahi, the one who builds a sincere relationship with Allah will never truly be alone. Because when everyone else forgets you, Allah still hears every whisper. When people misunderstand you, Allah knows your intentions. When nobody checks on you, Allah still watches over you every second. So before asking, why do I have no friends? Perhaps ask yourself, how is my friendship with Allah? Because sometimes the problem is not that people abandoned us. Sometimes the soul abandoned its Creator first. One of the hardest truths for a human being to accept is that sometimes the reason people walk away from us is not because they hate us, envy us, or misunderstand us. Sometimes it is because our character has become difficult to live with. This is painful to hear because the nafs always wants to believe that the problem is everyone else. The ego loves pointing fingers out. But sincere believers learn to look inward first. My brothers and sisters, Islam places enormous importance on character because character is what people experience from you every day. A person may pray, fast, and speak about religion constantly. But if their behavior hurts people, pushes them away, humiliates them, or exhausts them emotionally, then something is missing inside. The Prophet said that the heaviest thing on the scale on the day of judgment will be good character. Why? Because good character is not simply smiling once in a while. It is patience when angry, gentleness during disagreement, respect when correcting others, humility when successful, silence when tempted to gossip. Many people wonder why friendships do not last in their lives, yet they have habits that slowly poison every relationship around them. Sometimes a person constantly complains about everything. Every conversation becomes negativity. Every gathering becomes criticism. Every small issue becomes drama. After some time, people begin distancing themselves not out of cruelty, but because they feel emotionally drained. There are also those who speak harshly and then defend themselves by saying, I'm just honest. But honesty without mercy becomes cruelty. Islam teaches us to speak the truth beautifully. There is a difference between correcting someone and humiliating them. There is a difference between sincerity and arrogance disguised as sincerity. A believer is careful with the tongue because words can leave wounds that remain for years. Sometimes the problem is pride. Pride silently destroys relationships. A person begins thinking they are always right. They refuse to apologize. They cannot accept advice. Every disagreement becomes a battle to protect the ego. Such people slowly lose others around them because nobody enjoys constantly walking on eggshells. Look at the beauty of the Prophet Muhammad. Even though he was the greatest of creation, he listened to people. He smiled at people. He made others feel valued. He never made people feel small unnecessarily. His greatness was visible through humility. Today, some people speak to strangers online more kindly than they speak to their own families. They show patience to outsiders but harshness to those closest to them. Then they wonder why their relationships become cold. And one of the biggest destroyers of friendship is gossip. A person may think gossip is small because everyone around them does it. But people eventually become afraid of the one who constantly speaks badly about others. Because they know if this person speaks about others in front of me, they probably speak about me behind my back too. Trust disappears. Jealousy is another silent disease. Sometimes friendships break not because of enemies, but because one friend cannot handle the blessings of another. Islam teaches us to celebrate the success of others sincerely. Rizq comes from Allah. Beauty comes from Allah. Opportunities come from Allah. When you constantly compare yourself to people, your heart becomes toxic. You stop seeing friends as competition. And then there are people who only contact others when they need something. Every conversation revolves around themselves. They never ask how others are doing. They never listen. They never support anyone emotionally. Friendship becomes one-sided. Eventually people become tired because relationships cannot survive selfishness forever. My brothers and sisters, good character attracts hearts naturally. You do not need to force people to stay around you when your presence brings peace. The believer should make others feel safe emotionally, safe from insults, safe from betrayal, safe from unnecessary judgment. This is why the Prophet Muhammad was loved deeply. People felt honored around him. Even children loved him. Respected his honesty and mercy. Sometimes we focus so much on appearances that we ignore the diseases inside the heart. A beautiful face with an ugly character pushes people away. But a sincere heart with beautiful manners attracts people naturally. And let us be honest with ourselves. Some people lose friendships because they refuse to control anger. Every small disagreement becomes shouting, blocking, insulting, or emotional explosions. Anger destroys years of love within minutes. One sentence spoken in rage can damage a relationship permanently. Strength is not found in dominating people. Real strength is controlling yourself when emotions rise. There are also people who constantly judge others. They make people feel inferior for their struggles, sins, appearance, or mistakes. But Allah did not command us to destroy people with judgment. He commanded us to guide with wisdom and mercy. The more arrogant a person becomes, the lonelier they often become. And perhaps one of the greatest signs of maturity is the ability to admit, maybe I am the problem in some areas. That sentence can change a life. Because once a person becomes honest about their flaws, growth begins. The believer is not perfect, but the believer is willing to improve. They apologize when wrong. They soften their speech. They work on patience. They fight the ego daily. My brothers and sisters, if you want meaningful friendships, become someone who brings goodness into the lives of others. Be trustworthy. Be kind. Be gentle. Learn to listen. Learn to forgive. Make dua for people secretly. Speak words that heal instead of words that destroy. And remember, good character is not only for the masjid. It is for the home, the workplace, the friendships, the private conversations, and the moments when nobody is watching. Sometimes Allah distances people from us so that we can finally see the parts of ourselves we ignored for too long. Not every broken friendship is proof that others are bad. Sometimes it is a lesson teaching us to purify our own hearts. May Allah beauty. Fry our character, purify our tongues, remove arrogance from our hearts, and make us among those whose presence brings peace to others. Ameen. Many people complain that they have no real friends, but they rarely stop to ask themselves an important question. What kind of friend am I to others? This question is uncomfortable because human beings naturally focus on what they are receiving rather than what they are giving. We notice who ignored our messages, who forgot us, who disappointed us, who failed to support us. But sometimes we fail to notice how emotionally absent we ourselves have become in the lives of others. Friendship is not built only on words. It is built on effort, sacrifice, sincerity, patience, and care. A relationship cannot survive when one person only takes while the other keeps giving. Eventually, hearts become tired. My brothers and sisters, one of the diseases of modern life is self-centeredness. Everything becomes about me, my feelings, my problems, my struggles, my attention, my needs. And while Islam teaches us to care for ourselves, it also teaches us to care deeply about others. A believer is not someone who only searches for love, a believer spreads love. The Prophet Muhammad was concerned about people. He noticed their pain. He checked on them. He listened to them. He comforted them. He carried the worries of others in his heart. This is why people loved him so deeply. They felt valued around him. Today, many people want loyal friends, but they themselves disappear when others are struggling. They want support during hard times, but they are unavailable when someone else needs support. They want people to remember their birthdays, reply quickly, and show concern, yet they rarely make that same effort for others. Relationships weaken when care becomes one-sided. Sometimes a person only contacts others when they need a favor. Every message comes with a request. Every conversation revolves around their own problems. Slowly people begin feeling used rather than appreciated. A sincere friendship requires balance. There must be giving and receiving from both sides. There must be moments where you listen, not only speak. Moments where you support, not only seek support. Moments where you sacrifice your comfort for someone else. One of the most beautiful qualities in Islam is selflessness. The companions of the Prophet Muhammad loved for others what they loved for themselves. They were not obsessed with constantly calculating who gave more and who gave less. Their hearts were generous. Today, unfortunately, many friendships are transactional. People stay connected only as long as they benefit. The moment the benefit disappears, the relationship disappears too. This is not sincere companionship. This is convenience. True friendship shines during difficulty. When someone is sick, do you check on them? When someone is grieving, do you comfort them? When someone succeeds, do you celebrate them sincerely? When someone struggles, do you make dua for them privately? These are the things that strengthen hearts. My brothers and sisters, some people lose friendships because they never learned how to truly listen. Listening is an act of love. Sometimes people do not need solutions immediately, they simply need someone present. Someone who cares enough to hear them without rushing, interrupting, or turning the conversation back toward themselves. But we live in a time where many people wait for their turn to speak instead of genuinely listening. And another reason friendships break is because appreciation disappears. Human beings need to feel valued. When someone continuously gives kindness, support, and loyalty while receiving little acknowledgement, exhaustion eventually enters the relationship. The Prophet Muhammad taught us gratitude even in small matters. He appreciated people. He made dua for them. He recognized goodness in them. This softens hearts and strengthens bonds. There are also people who expect perfection from friends while offering very little mercy themselves. The moment a friend makes one mistake, they cut them off completely. But they expect endless patience for their own flaws. My brothers and sisters, friendship requires emotional maturity. It requires understanding that human beings are imperfect. Your friends will make mistakes. They will become busy sometimes. They may disappoint you unintentionally, but sincere relationships survive because forgiveness exists within them. And let us speak honestly about another issue. Envy destroys many friendships quietly. Sometimes a person wants support from others but struggles to support others sincerely. They become uncomfortable when someone else succeeds. Instead of feeling happiness, they feel competition. A pure heart celebrates the bleed, sings of others because it trusts Allah's wisdom. What Allah gave someone else does not reduce what Allah can give you. And one of the greatest qualities a believer can develop is reliability. Can people depend on you? Do your words match your actions? If you promise something, do you fulfill it? Loyalty is rare today, which is why it is deeply valuable. People remember how you made them feel during difficult moments. Long after conversations are forgotten, kindness remains in hearts. Sometimes people ask, why do I feel alone, while they themselves have isolated emotionally from others? They stopped checking on people. They stopped showing care. They stopped investing effort into relationships. Then slowly the connections weakened. Friendship is like a garden. If you neglect it completely, it dries out. But this does not mean you should exhaust yourself trying to please everyone. Islam teaches balance. Not every friendship is healthy. Not every relationship deserves unlimited access to your heart. Some people are harmful, manipulative, or toxic. Boundaries are important. However, when it comes to sincere and good-hearted people, effort matters. Be the person who brings ease into the lives of others. Be the one who remembers people in your du'as. Be the one who checks on someone quietly without expecting praise. Be the one whose friendship makes others feel safe, valued, and supported. And remember something beautiful. Every act of kindness toward people is seen by Allah. Every sincere message, every comforting word, every hidden dua, every moment you help someone emotionally or physically for His sake. The believer does not give only to receive from people. The believer gives hoping for reward from Allah. And perhaps if more of us focused on becoming good friends instead of only searching for good friends, many hearts would heal. May Allah make us sincere companions, loyal friends, soft-hearted believers, and people whose presence becomes a source of comfort for others. Ameen. There are moments in life when a person feels completely alone. The phone becomes silent. Invitations become fewer. Certain people slowly disappear. Conversations that once felt alive suddenly become cold. And in those moments, the heart begins to ask painful questions. Did Allah abandon me? Is this loneliness a punishment? Is there something wrong with me? But my brother, sisters, not every season of loneliness is a curse. Sometimes what feels like isolation is actually protection. Sometimes Allah removes people from your life because they were harming your heart, your peace, your iman, or your future in ways you could not yet understand. Human beings often become attached very quickly. We become emotionally dependent on people. We build our happiness around their attention, their approval, their presence. Then when they leave, it feels as though part of us has collapsed. But Allah, in His mercy, sometimes allows certain relationships to break so that our hearts return to the one who never leaves. Think carefully about this. If every person you wanted stayed in your life forever, perhaps some of them would have led you away from Allah completely. There are friendships that look beautiful in the beginning but slowly destroy a person from within. Some people normalize your sins. Some encourage disobedience. Some fill your mind with negativity, arrogance, gossip, and emptiness. Others distract you so much that your relationship with Allah becomes weaker without you even realizing it. And because Allah loves His servant, He sometimes removes peace, peel before they destroy you spiritually. But while you are hurting, you may not understand the wisdom immediately. Human beings usually understand Allah's protection after time has passed. At first there is confusion, sadness, questions, but later you realize, if those people had remained in my life, I would not have grown into the person I am becoming. Sometimes loneliness is the place where transformation begins. Look at the stories of the prophets. Yusuf, Arabic teen, Arabiclam, Arabikit, Arabica, Arabiclam, Arabiclif, 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 Arabic meme, was separated from his family and thrown into a well. Imagine the loneliness of that moment. Darkness, fear, silence, yet that isolation was part of Allah's plan to elevate him later. Maryam Arabictin, Arabiclam, Arabiclit, Arabiclif, 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 Arabicmim experienced loneliness during one of the most painful moments of her life. She withdrew from people, carrying emotional and physical hardship, yet Allah honored her tremendously. Even our beloved Prophet Muhammad, letter FDFA, experienced periods of emotional isolation. People mocked him, rejected him, and abandoned him. During the year of sorrow, he lost beloved companions and family members. Yet Allah was preparing him for greater strength and closeness. So if you feel alone today, do not automatically assume Allah is angry with you. Sometimes Allah isolates you because He wants to teach you dependence upon Him instead of dependence upon people. You see, when life is full of noise, gatherings, attention, and distractions, many people forget Allah. The heart becomes attached to creation. But loneliness has a strange power. It forces a person to confront themselves. It forces reflection. It exposes what truly lies inside the heart. Some people only discover the sweetness of dua after heartbreak. Some only discover tahajjud after loneliness. Some only open the Quran sincerely after everyone else leaves. And perhaps Allah allowed the loneliness because He wanted to give you Himself. My brothers and sisters, there are certain doors that only open in solitude. Growth often happens quietly. Healing often happens privately. A person begins understanding life differently when they spend time alone with Allah sincerely. This does not mean isolation is always healthy. Islam encourages community, family ties, companionship, and brotherhood. Human beings naturally need connection. But there is a difference between healthy companionship and unhealthy attachment. Sometimes Allah removes unhealthy attachments so that your identity is no longer controlled by human beings. There are people who lose themselves completely trying to keep others pleased. They compromise values, peace, and dignity because they fear being alone. But loneliness is sometimes safer than the wrong company. The Prophet Muhammad warned us about bad companionship because people influence each other deeply. Some friendships slowly darken the heart. You may not notice it immediately, but over time your language changes, your priorities change, your modesty weakens, your worship decreases, and your thinking becomes corrupted. Then one day Allah removes those people from your life, and although it hurts, that pain becomes a mercy. Not every closed door is rejection. Some closed doors are rescue. And let us also understand another reality. Allah may isolate you because He is preparing you for something greater. Preparation often requires separation. A person cannot grow properly while constantly distracted. Sometimes Allah wants you to become emotionally stronger, more mature, more sincere, more connected to Him. And during those lonely nights when nobody checks on you, something beautiful can happen. PPN. Your conversations with Allah become more honest. There is no performance, no pretending. Just you and your Creator. Those moments can transform a life. Many righteous people throughout history experienced periods of loneliness. But instead of allowing loneliness to destroy them, they used it to build closeness with Allah. Their isolation became purification. And wallahi, some people later thank Allah for the relationships that ended. Because with time they finally see what Allah protected them from. Maybe the person you cried over would have shattered your peace later. Maybe the friendship you lost would have dragged you towards sin. Maybe the loneliness itself saved your akhirah. Allah sees what you cannot see. So do not measure Allah's love for you by how many people surround you. Some people are surrounded by crowds yet completely distant from Allah. Others sit alone in their rooms while Allah's mercy surrounds them. If today you feel isolated, use this season wisely. Build yourself spiritually. Heal your heart. Strengthen your salah. Purify your intentions. Learn who you are beyond people's validation. Because when Allah becomes enough for you, loneliness no longer feels like destruction. It begins to feel like peace. And remember this always. Sometimes Allah empties your life of certain people so He can fill your heart with something greater. May Allah protect us from harmful relationships, grant us wisdom during lonely seasons, and make every hardship a means of drawing closer to Him. Ameen. One of the greatest influences on a human being is the company they keep. Whether we realize it or not, the people around us slowly shape our thinking, behavior, priorities, habits, and even our relationship with Allah. This is why Islam places so much importance on righteous companionship. A person may believe they are strong enough to resist influence, but human beings naturally absorb from their environment. Hearts affect hearts. Many people ask why they feel spiritually weak, emotionally lost, or distant from goodness, yet they never examine the people surrounding them every day. If your closest companions constantly normalize sin, mock righteousness, encourage laziness, gossip about others, and pull you toward distractions, eventually your heart will begin changing without you noticing. The Prophet Muhammad gave a beautiful example when he compared company to the seller of perfume and bad company to the blacksmith. The seller of perfume may give you perfume, or at least you leave with a beautiful fragrance. But the blacksmith may burn your clothes or leave you with an unpleasant smell. In the same way, the people around you leave traces upon your soul. My brothers and sisters, righteous company is one of the greatest blessings from Allah. A good friend protects your iman when you are weak. They remind you to pray when you become lazy. They encourage you when you lose motivation. They advise you sincerely when you make mistakes. They make dua for you secretly. They want goodness for your dunya and your akhirah. A true righteous friend does not only make you laugh, they help you become better. Today, many friendships are built only around entertainment. As long as there is fun, jokes, outings, or benefits, the relationship survives. But the moment difficulty comes, many people disappear. A righteous friend is different. They remain present during hardship. They care about your soul, not only your company. And one of the signs of righteous companionship is that being around them increases your remembrance of Allah naturally. You feel inspired to improve. Your speech becomes cleaner. Your heart becomes softer. Your priorities become healthier. But bad company slowly darkens the heart. At first the changes seem small. A person begins missing prayers casually because their friends do not care about salah. Then inappropriate speech becomes normal. Gossip becomes entertainment. Haram becomes not a big deal. Modesty weakens. Respect disappears. Slowly the heart loses sensitivity towards sin. This is why choosing friends carelessly is dangerous. Some people think influence only affects teenagers or weak-minded individuals. That is not true. Even strong people are affected by repeated exposure. Human beings adapt to their surroundings. If everyone around you normalizes something wrong, eventually your conscience becomes quieter. And this is why Allah warns us about companionship repeatedly through lessons in the Quran and Sunnah. On the Day of Judgment, some people will regret certain friendships deeply. Allah describes people saying, "Woe to me, I wish I had not taken that person as a friend." Imagine the pain of realizing someone influenced you away from Allah. A friend can either help carry you toward or slowly pull you toward destruction. This does not mean we become arrogant or isolate ourselves from everyone imperfect. Every human being has flaws. Rather, it means we choose companions whose overall direction brings us closer to goodness instead of farther away. Sometimes a righteous friend enters your life and changes everything. They encourage you to pray consistently. They invite you to beneficial gatherings. They speak with kindness. They remind you of Allah during hardship. Their sincerity inspires you without force. Good people make goodness feel easier. And one of the beautiful things about righteous companionship is emotional safety. You do not constantly fear betrayal, mockery, jealousy, or manipulation. A sincere believer protects your dignity even when you are absent. They do not expose your weaknesses publicly. They advise privately and gently. Today, many people are surrounded by individuals who only compete, compare, and criticize. This creates emotional exhaustion. But righteous company brings tranquility because sincerity exists there. My brothers and sisters, loneliness with peace is better than companionship that destroys your soul. Some people start in harmful friendships because they fear being alone. They tolerate disrespect, sin, emotional manipulation, and toxic behavior simply to feel included. But inclusion at the cost of your akhirah is not success. Sometimes walking away from bad company is one of the bravest decisions a believer can make. And understand something important. The people you spend time with influence not only your actions but your future. Your ambitions begin resembling theirs. Your conversations begin resembling theirs. Your standards begin resembling theirs. If your companions constantly chase dunya carelessly, eventually your focus may become entirely worldly too. But if your companions remind you about accountability, purpose, worship, and character, your heart remains awake. This is why the early righteous people were extremely careful about companionship. They understood that hearts are delicate. Repeated influence matters. And let us not forget another important point. Righteous friends are not perfect angels. They also struggle. They also make mistakes. But the difference is that their hearts still desire Allah sincerely. When they fall, they repent. When they are reminded, they soften. Our direction remains toward goodness. A righteous friend will never encourage you proudly toward disobedience. My brothers and sisters, if Allah places sincere companions in your life, protect those relationships. Appreciate them. Make dua for them. Support them. Loyal and righteous people are rare treasures in this world. And if you are searching for better friends, start by becoming better yourself. Become the type of person who attracts righteous company. Purify your heart. Improve your manners. Strengthen your relationship with Allah. Because often Allah connects hearts that are sincere toward Him. And remember this carefully. Not every person who entertains you loves you. And not every person who corrects you dislikes you. Sometimes the friend who reminds you about Allah is the one who truly cares for your soul. On the day when wealth, popularity, and worldly status will mean nothing, righteous companionship will matter immensely. May Allah bless us with friends who bring us closer to Him, protect us from harmful influences, and make us companions who guide one another toward Jannah. Ameen. Many people spend their lives searching for loyal friends, sincere companions, and trustworthy people. Yet they rarely stop to ask themselves a powerful question. Am I becoming the type of friend I am asking Allah to give me? We often focus on what we want from others, but we forget that meaningful relationships begin with what we are willing to become ourselves. If you want kindness, are you kind? If you want loyalty, are you loyal? If you want honesty, are you honest? If you want people to care about your feelings, do you care about theirs? My brothers and sisters, one of the greatest mistakes people make is expecting from others qualities they themselves refuse to develop. A person wants support but disappears when others struggle. They want understanding but refuse to listen. They want respect but constantly disrespect people. Then they wonder why relationships around them feel empty. Allah created human beings with emotional needs. People naturally move closer to those who bring peace, sincerity, and safety into their lives. Hearts are attracted to good character. You do not need to force genuine relationships when your presence itself carries mercy and goodness. The Prophet Muhammad was loved deeply because of how he treated people. He made others feel seen, heard, valued. Even the weakest person felt important around him. He smiled sincerely. He listened attentively. He forgave generously.